Hello, peace seekers. This is Soneakqua White dropping in just to give you a piece of my mind that will hopefully give you some peace of mind. Now, we've been talking about the top 13 reasons why your mind might be playing tricks on you, and we're on number 12. And reason number 12 is that you're emotional in uncomfortable situations. Now, this can refer to a lot of things, but right now what we're going to talk about is basically your reaction. And sometimes it is a coping mechanism when your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism engages. So when you get emotional in an uncomfortable situation, a lot of the times you react in a way that you don't want to react in. You don't want to do this, but it's a mechanism, it's a coping mechanism. And often it's because you're afraid or something's going on in the situation that you're just not accustomed to, or you weren't ready for, you weren't prepared for. So your mind starts to play tricks on you because you're emotional in that situation. Fight, flight, or freeze, meaning you fight, meaning you're all riled up, you're verbally assaultive, you may be physically assaultive, you're doing something that's more aggressive than maybe you would like, but because you're afraid or you think someone else is going to attack you, you're not sure what's going on, you fight. Or you flight, meaning you run, you withdraw, you back up from the situation. Same instance, you're afraid, something might be coming after you, someone might be coming after you, so you find your way of escape. Another mechanism that a lot of people have is to freeze, meaning you do absolutely nothing. Your mind locks up. Your words don't come to you. You're frozen in that moment because you're afraid again, or you feel like something's going to come after you or someone's going to come after you, and your mechanism engages, your coping mechanism engages, and you freeze. You can't do anything. Now, the reason why I'm calling it a coping mechanism and saying that it engages, because a lot of the times this is not what you want to do. You're not wanting to fight, flight, or freeze, because if you had all of your wherewithal, your mind and your emotions and everything flowing like you would like for it to, you would probably choose a different option. But because this isn't a mechanism that is engaging, this is a protection mechanism. You are doing fight, flight, or freeze because you're trying to protect yourself. And what you now have to learn is, instead of reacting in the situation, is you have to learn how to respond. Some of us have to unlearn, relearn, or just completely learn from jump how to respond in a situation instead of reacting in the situation, where you are now in charge of what you're doing instead of your mind or body doing it for you. So learn to respond instead of reacting. And what I typically talk about here is a reaction typically comes out of emotion. Your emotions don't have intellect. Your emotions don't think, they react. Okay, so you want to be able to come out of your emotional state and go into your mind state, because you want to respond from intellect, meaning knowledge, recognition, understanding. And then you want to figure out, okay, how can I be assertive in this situation? Because a lot of the times when you fight, you become aggressive. When you flight or freeze, oftentimes it's seen as passive. So what's in the middle of aggressive and passive? You want to learn how to be assertive. So when you're learning how to respond instead of reacting, what you're learning how to do is give an assertive response, whether that's verbally, and typically it is. You rarely want to respond physically, because that typically will go to the other end of being aggressive, and you typically do not want to be aggressive in majority of situations, especially when it's coming to communication or working with another individual because you don't want to be defensive and you don't want the other person to be defensive. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those things in different videos. But right now, what we're trying to talk about is getting you to be responsive instead of reactive in a situation, because sometimes your mind is playing tricks on you because you're emotional in an uncomfortable situation. A coping mechanism engages, and you typically don't respond the way you would choose to if you had all of your faculties and all of your senses and everything working like you would like it to. And what happens often is you get out of the situation and then you realize, oh man, I should have said this. I should have done this. And then your mind starts playing tricks on you because now you feel like you didn't do the right thing. You shouldn't have done that. You should have done this. And if you allow that to fester, you hold on to it and you can't get out of it. It's like days and weeks go by and you're feeling worse and worse because you didn't respond like you would have liked to. And then you don't go back and revisit the situation with the person. Sometimes it's because you can't. It was a fleeting moment. Everything is over with and done with. You can't go back and correct it. But sometimes, even when that possibility is there, you don't do it. So now your mind is playing tricks on you because you were first emotional in an uncomfortable situation. Your coping mechanism engaged, which was something that protected you, and it wasn't really how you wanted to respond. So let's learn how to respond instead of react. And this is just the first part. I'll be back to you soon, giving you some more ideas on how you can do that. So if you like what you're hearing, remember to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and comment so I know what kind of content you like. But until then, be proactive about your mental health, be well, and God bless.